Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today we're going to talk about memory.
Oh, yeah.
Your boy, Young Meme Roy.
We spelled memory wrong so many times. It's the I can't remember this episode or how to spell episode.
Should be fun. First, Steven, how was your week?
Oh, man. To be honest, this week's kind of been feeling shitty.
Ooh.
Not bad, just kind of shitty. You know, done with school shit. And, I fucking hate the job search more than anything. I would rather work in the sun all day than
have to look for jobs.
I fucking hate it, man. It
sucks.
I had a really good one lined up, and I even had like a shining reference by the person who worked there. Wouldn't give me an interview. And it makes me I just get angry. So I have to step back and just, I know it's gonna take a while, so I just gotta chill and get through it. But
the worst is when they don't even reply to you.
Dude, yeah.
I hate that so much. And it's like, I don't even know. Like, how long do you wait? A week, and then you try to follow up, and then then they still don't fucking reply to you, and it's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous. But the other day I was outside, got a little sunburnt, was out working with the cicadas, which has been kind of fun. Are you guys getting them?
No, we don't have any of them up here.
At all?
At all.
Oh, you lucky bastards.
They come in south of Detroit, lower Michigan-ish, but it's not nearly as bad as it is in the nasty natty. Are they pretty bad?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm predicting it's going to be a very light season for it. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but speaking of our memory episode, I also can't tell if I just remember them being way worse because I was a little kid when it happened.
That's all. Yeah, that's probably a thing.
Didn't it feel like a plague?
Yeah, it did. It felt really shitty.
Dude, it's not shit yet. And we're 2 weeks in of 6 weeks. So I don't think it's going to be that bad. But, just been working on art. I was a little off my regular schedule with that. So been working on some stuff. I'm almost done with this piece I've been stuck on forever. I'll send you after this. But I'm doing okay. Just
nice.
Chilling. What about you?
Well, I'm all shot up. I got my second Moderna vaccine.
Riding the dragon.
I got that Moderna virus. I think I got away pretty easy on side effects. I've heard some horror stories about the second dose. But I mostly I got real tired the first day, and then the second day I felt a little bit of nausea, and mostly just kind of whole body kind of felt like shit. And today I was fine. So 3 days, after 2 full days, I felt back to normal.
Isn't it weird? I know, it could resurge at any time. Definitely not saying it's over, but it feels weird to have a much higher level of safety than we did a year ago. It's bizarre. Yeah.
And I went into Kroger today to pick up lunch, and I noticed that they actually had a sign up front that said, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. And I thought, for sure, who the fuck is enforcing this, number one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one's wearing them in Cincinnati.
Yeah. I realized I think I'm going to have the put my vaccine card thing. I took a picture of it.
That's smart.
My CVS, the lady at CVS that shot me up said you should take a picture of this so in case you ever lose it, you still have it. It's like, oh yeah, that's pretty smart. Yeah. Because the first time I got my shot, as I'm walking out of the fucking CVS, I drop it. And I realized I get to my car, I'm like, oh fuck, I don't have it. And I had to run back, and at that point someone had already picked it up and taken it back to the back. So she was like, oh yeah, I remember you. It's like, oh yeah, cool, thanks.
A gang of raccoons scurried in and stole your vaccine paperwork.
But so I thought I should just put that as my phone background for a hot minute. And
yeah, that's smart.
So when I walk in somewhere, they're like, well, are you vaccinated? Like, yeah, motherfucker. I'm ready to rock.
Anybody is attempting to enforce it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. The vaccine passport thing definitely isn't happening. But So week's been all right. I know you've been working a lot.
Yeah, it hasn't been bad.
Yeah.
Picking up with the how busy it's getting lately with the summertime.
Yeah.
The hot weather. People want to get more smoothies and shit. Who knew? We're trying to hire people, man. It's we could definitely use like 2 or 3 strong people on board to pick up, at least doing prep. Like I told my boss today, like if we had just one solid person just knocking out prep, like our job would be easy as fuck.
Yeah.
Like we could roll with it, but he's doing most of the prep himself and I'm trying to help him. But like there's the whole entire job being, quick ticket times and what it is revolves around having that prep done. So just a matter of getting it done.
Fuck yeah.
That's where more of the hours are coming in, is just, helping up do prep.
Yeah. Now, you got any honorables before we get into? I'm excited about this episode. I think it'll be fun.
I think it should be a good one. I do not have any honorables though.
Okay, so I'm gonna run through mine kind of quick today, because we don't have to look at any art. I'm just shouting out some cool music. So our homies, or our homie Chaotic Steel, just put out a new video, and I believe it's an album with this other rapper named Commas, and I haven't got through all of it yet, but I'm very excited. The video is cool, and their voices just work so well together.
Agreed.
It's such a good contrast. So, fuck, man, I gotta look up the name of the album, but Chaotic and Commas. Do you mind checking that out for me by any chance?
Yeah.
I think on his Instagram. The second shout out, so, this episode we were doing research. One of the great things that helped us out with it was Netflix has a series Explained, and there's a really good episode called Memory Explained. If this podcast, piques your interest, I definitely recommend watching that. There's some really cool stuff about memorization techniques and stuff. It was a good one.
That Chaotic Steel album, it's Chaotic Steel and Commas, We Are Not the Same.
Yeah.
Out now on all streaming platforms.
Fuck yeah, man. I'm super psyched to listen to this.
Yeah, that song was fucking dope. His Chaotic's fucking verse was
dude,
tight. That was
he's a really good writer. He's always getting better. Because I knew him early on, and he didn't even have like a ton of really polished stuff out, and I really liked him as a person, but I knew he just like was always growing, and it's awesome. And then last 2 real quick. So my 2 favorite memory songs, and these are like not happy songs at all, but they're my favorite songs that relate to memory, is the band Shining has a song called Total Suffering, and it's spelled in German, like total is normal, and then the suffering's like unsuffering. It's weird, but you can find it. And then Cyclone 9's song, The Saint and the Valentine. They're both very tragic, beautiful songs about memory, in a way.
Would have fit real good into the goth episode.
It would have, dude. I've been kind of dabbling in black metal, and I have to like pull myself back out. So Shining, this band, they literally tell their fans to kill themselves, and they've had multiple people do it. Like,
that's fucked.
they're that kind of hardcore from Sweden. Just dude faked his own suicide and disappeared for like years.
Oh, I heard that story actually.
Yeah, his whole body is just fucking scar tissue. He's so fucking brutal. I'm pretty sure he's like, it's the same thing with Burzum, where he actually is like a racist and a sexist and like a total piece of shit, but he writes beautiful music. You're like, I don't know what to do with these fuckers.
Yeah. Jesus.
Right. You want to kick us off?
Yeah. So memory is what we're talking about. So a clinical definition of memory is the faculty by which the mind stores and remembers information, something remembered from the past or a recollection. I think that's a really, I say clinical because it's such a easy way to define what is so wild of a concept. Right. There's so much involved with it.
Yeah, that's almost like straight from the DSM or like a handbook, but it's so hard to understand what it encompasses, though. It's everything. It's the stories we tell ourselves to preserve the past, as well as define ourselves in the world around us in the present and future. So I know you know, but I've spent a lot of years addicted to benzos. I fucking love Xanax. And it made it very apparent how fragile and malleable our memory is.
I'm sure.
It's so warping, but it's like, I don't know, after enough experiences where you can't trust your memory, it starts to become clear, like, just how fragile it really is. Like, I see it all the time with, or experience it all the time with people's faces. Like, isn't that a weird feeling when you can't remember someone's face or their eye color or something?
I mean, like, so you mean like you're looking at them and like you can't remember who they are, like you know that you know their face, but you don't know who they are, or just entirely forget about this person entirely.
Not even that so much, but it like even like a loved one who's passed, or like a friend you knew for a long time but haven't seen them for a while. Like, I can't picture their eye color or like really remember what their face looks like. Like,
yes,
those things that were so familiar for so long fade, and you're like, how the fuck is that even possible?
Right.
Those small details, it gets weird. Everything gets blurry. And I have plenty of reasons maybe I experience that more often, but it definitely is just a thing. And it's...
Yeah, that's the common and normal thing.
It's a bizarre feeling, though.
Yeah. Very scary.
Yeah. One of the things I found super interesting when researching this episode is the similarities and the link between memory and imagination. And I find that very interesting. Like, when you can't remember somebody's face, your brain still is trying to figure out a pattern, a way to fill those blanks, which...
Right.
It's so weird. So we're going to talk more about the imagination part of it more. But do you want to get into how the process of memory works a little bit?
Yeah, man. Tell me how do they work? How do these memories work?
So they occur in specific groups of neurons that are activated in the brain. Any stimulus results in a particular pattern of neural activity. Certain neurons become active in a more or less a particular sequence. If you think of your cat or your home or your 5th grade birthday cake, different ensembles or groups of neurons become active. The theory is that strengthening or weakening synapses make particular patterns of neural activity more or less likely to occur. And sleep is a huge factor to that, to the memory storage during sleep. The hippocampus, which is possibly the best word ever.
Right.
The hippocamp in our brain. And and the neocortex takes part in a carefully choreographed, how do you say it?
Choreographed?
Thank you, sir. Dialogue in which the hippocampus replays recent events. The same hippocampal neurons active during an experience become activated again during slow wave sleep, over and over in a time-compressed manner, helping to update the neurocortex as to what needs to be stored. This replay only occurs during sleep, so if you're skimping on sleep, you are not letting your brain consolidate memories.
Right. And most of the time, when you intentionally recall memories, they're probably triggered by your sight or your hearing, like seeing someone's face or hearing their voice, but your other senses play a prominent role in piecing together memories as well. The sense of smell is closely linked with memory, probably more so than the other senses. Those with full olfactory functions may be able to think of smells that evoke particular memories. In particular, like my dad always stated that campfire was one of his favorite scents, and because it takes you back to every campfire you've ever had and like all the good times that you had around it, and like every core memory that you can remember from that. Even most of your taste reception comes from your sense of smell. So all the flavors of things that you enjoy or food that you hate, it's all stored in your brain by way of your olfactory receptors, which is critical for a chef because tasting various things for consistency is an everyday activity. I actually basically lived off taste testing food every day to make sure the batch of whatever it was up to par. before service. Like it was constant, just tasting shit.
Yeah.
It's like I'm full.
And I know you've mentioned you get the smell relation to memory a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes do. I definitely love the campfire stuff, and it's weird how many past memories you can instantly link through the smell alone.
Oh yeah.
When you're reading it though, I started laughing because my first thought is I love the smell of gasoline, and it reminds me of all the other times I've huffed gasoline. The key researchers claim is that memories relating to an event are scattered across the brain's sensory centers, but marshaled by a region called the hippocampus. If one of the senses is stimulated to evoke a memory, other memories featuring other senses are also triggered. The hippocamp is a complex brain structure embedded deep in the temporal lobe. It has a major role in learning and memory. Fun fact, the hippocampus is derived from the Greek word seahorse, which is, and hippos meaning horse, right?
Yep.
Did I fuck that up?
Nope, you nailed it.
That's so, dude, it doesn't even look like a seahorse, does it?
Oh, it's I mean, kinda. It's like a tube. It's a curve-shaped tube with a little bulb on the one end. It kind of looks like it's got it looks more like a seahorse than it does anything else.
Dude, seahorses are fucking weird, man.
Yeah, they are. They're cool as fuck, though.
I don't want a seahorse fucking around up in my brain. And why does hippo mean horse? Because what is a hippo then?
Because it's Greek.
But what is a hippo?
But they didn't have hippos in ancient Greece.
Well, so what did they find first, hippos or horses?
I mean, there's probably a reason why hippos are called hippos is because they're water horses.
I don't trust those hippos.
Not seahorses, just water horses.
Dude, are you familiar with, I think I've probably mentioned this, the MRI scans of drug addicts?
Like your brain on drugs things?
Kind of, but so your brain experience and memory, it's surprising how vivid it is, and you act, you smell that smell, and it feels like you're actually there, if they take lifelong drug addicts and they put them in an MRI and they flash a bunch of images, when their drug of choices show up, their brain lights up almost to the same degree as if they were doing that drug, but
that's wild
for a small amount of time. And it's like those visual triggers have a chemical effect in your brain, and it's all that's all just re-experiencing the memory of something.
Now, does that explain why my weed tolerance is garbage? It's gone. It's in the trash. So does that explain why if I smell like some good weed, like I, get a little baggie from this dispensary and I just real good, like, does that explain why just for like a quick second I could swear that I feel high?
Yeah, 100%.
Like just for a second.
And dude, all right, so this is something I don't think too many people relate to, but I honestly think it's fucked up when, I don't give that much of a fuck, but when things like Netflix or Netflix or whatever, puts a trailer for a new drug documentary and it auto plays as soon as you load it. Mm-hmm. It's like you turn on Netflix and you're seeing somebody put a needle in their vein. I'm like, yeah, fucking bastards! Fuck
man, come on.
Yeah, it's kind of a dick move for real.
It really is. Yeah.
What are your earliest memories? How far back can you go?
So I know there's probably others before this, but I think the earliest memory I can think of was learning to tie my shoes. And it's not a very vivid memory. I remember I was in the kitchen at my house on Price, and we had, I know my dad was there, and I know my grandpa was there.
That's interesting.
And I can't remember if my mom was in this particular memory or not, but I remember learning to tie my shoes in that time. And I remember, I think that might be my earliest I can possibly think of.
Now, do you remember in the memory, do you actually see them?
Yes.
Because that was a big thing. Even if you don't remembers, like, even if you don't see them in the memory, just the presence is one of those things that helps you remember the other people and it's.
Yeah, I can vividly place my dad right next to me on my right side, and my grandpa was in front of me. They're both like knelt down, and I'm sitting in a chair. And I remember my grandpa walking out of the room at one point, like after, we did it. I remember him walking out of the room, like around the corner. And I feel like my mom it was in the kitchen. I feel like my mom was also there in the room, just like not like right up on me at the same time.
Can you see her?
I can, but it's not as vivid.
See, that's so weird. Like, do you have any other ones where like the person isn't there at all, but like when you think of the memory, it feels like they're there?
If I think about it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a thing.
I get those a lot because I feel like because I maybe don't have the memory as sharply, but I have a lot of times where I feel people's presence, but I can't visually remember everything, Mm-hmm. One of my earliest ones, I was like choking on a popcorn kernel. Like, ooh. But I feel like I was an infant. Like, I remember being on the carpet, and I feel like all the people were giants. And I have no idea if it's just a concocted memory or if any of it is based off anything real. But it feels real.
Now, do you feel like you have any other memories from around that time?
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
There's like a wide length of time before anything again.
Yeah, I think the second closest memory I have was like learning to ride a bike. And I was probably 5 or 6 by then. Yeah. I'm sure there are some, but I just can't place them at a time in my life. Funny story about popcorn kernels, and I just remembered it, so I can bring it up because it's memory. When I was in the second grade, we were doing research on, the teacher was teaching us about like what happens inside of a popcorn kernel and like why it pops when you heat it up. And so she gave us a single popcorn kernel so that we could inspect it. Yeah. And we had this little sheet, and it was like, what does it look like? And what color is it? And then like, what does it feel like? And how does it smell? And shit like that. So like, I'm going to like sniff this fucking popcorn kernel, and I sniffed it right up into my nose. And I tried to get it out with my finger, but I just pushed it up further to the point where like I couldn't reach it anymore, and I couldn't feel it through the outside of my nose. And I got real scared.
That's a scary feeling.
I thought, oh shit, I'm going to have to go to the hospital. So instead, before I completely freaked the fuck out, I got a tissue, and I was able to blow my nose and get it to come out. Ding, ding, ding. But I'm certain I either gave it back to her or threw it away afterward. Oh, dude, I can't remember if I just gave it back to her.
I hope you did.
But it was this bloody popcorn kernel coming out.
Every kid gets at least one thing stuck up their nose. You have to.
If not, you didn't live.
Right.
You didn't live life.
Now, what about, like, because we're mostly going to be talking about mental memory, brain memory shit. What about muscle memory?
Oh, muscle memory is so important to me. So muscle memory is a form of procedural memory that involves consolidating a specific motor task into memory through repetition, which has been used synonymously with motor learning. When a movement is repeated over time, a long-term muscle memory is created for that task, eventually allowing it to be performed with little to no conscious effort. The process decreases the need for attention and creates maximum efficiency within the motor and memory systems. So muscle memory is found in everyday activities that become automatic and improve with practice, like riding bicycles, driving motor vehicles, playing sports, typing on keyboards, entering pins, and playing musical instruments.
Definitely big in memory. Music for sure.
Yeah. Again, as a chef, the use of muscle memory is paramount. Oftentimes you're not just doing one thing at a time. You have, steaks on the grill with different times and temperatures, and you have fries in the fryer that can burn at any minute, and you have pans on the stove that you're making sauces in to order, and you have a prime rib in the Alto sham that needs to be pulled out in exactly 8 more minutes, and you have a casserole in the oven because you sold out earlier that day and no one prepped it in time for service, and all the while you have new tickets coming in that you need to be called out to your staff, so who are also multitasking to the max. So you really have to let some functions be automatic. Both your physical movements and your sense of time have to be honed in, so you know when you have to stop plating a dish so you can turn around and flip those steaks and cut the heat from the pans on the stove. And you have to remember how long those fries have been down so you can yell to your fry cook to pull a thumb out of his ass and get him out of the fryer. And then, when you hone your memory to the length of each time that each thing should take, it becomes pretty instinctive. And then overcooking or burning something only happens when, you've got just too much on your plate. And pun is fully intended with that.
Dude, that really is a thing. Like watching you, like even cut vegetables.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's like such a dialed in neurological response.
It's like nothing. And there's always the cliche of like you have to let the knife become an extension of yourself, and like you really do. you let it become, it's a part of your hand at a certain point. It's like when you find the right knife, it's like this is me. I can wield this without any effort. You feel so comfortable with it because it's just a part of you.
I love those videos of like the dudes who roll barrels, like those work compilations of people at work that, learn how to do, like they roll like a 55-gallon drum across a warehouse, like over, and it's like, holy shit. There's also another aspect of muscle memory is like, it's real big in like, the bodybuilding muscle shit, lifting, like if you train your muscles to grow to a certain point and then you lose it years later, you still can recover it more quickly. Like your body. Because
you had it once.
Yeah. And that was like for a long time thought to be more of a myth, but it's just like your memory, like remembering something, the pattern of neurons. It's like your cell patterns. Like it learns after it's taken that shape or pattern before, it can more quickly return to it. So weird. Your body remembers shit. Your mind forgets.
Yeah. And you can even like play with that system. Like instead, like if you start to plateau on, building muscle in a certain place, you do like the muscle confusion thing. And you mix it up and then your body's like, oh shit, we're doing this now. All right, cool. And then when you go back to doing something else, it's like, okay, cool. Now it's like, it's not just repetitive motion anymore. Now we're working for a cause.
Yeah. And you almost can't make gains like at a linear pace forever too. That's why you see people with the weight fluctuations, like going up and then cutting down or whatever. You got to trick your body.
Or tricking your body. Tricking on 8. So remembering things. It's like, so making memories is one thing, and but remembering things is there's a weird cool idea about remembering memories. So each time you remember a thing, your brain is firing up different parts to piece together what you're trying to recollect. And when you remember that cool holographic Charizard card that you had in grade school, you're not remembering it directly. Instead, your brain has created new data the last time that you remembered it. So what you're remembering is based on the last time that you remembered it. So I know that just sounded really confusing. So think of it like you're taking a picture of a thing. Let's say you use a digital camera or your phone to snap a picture of a holographic Charizard. You don't have the Charizard, but you have a picture of it. You also now have the location data and shutter speed information and the info you can find out about the exposure. And what's more, you can even change the data if you really want to. It's very similar with your brain. Maybe the last time you thought about that card wasn't while you were holding it, as a strapping young Pokemon master to be. Maybe it was after high school and you saw that people were getting back into Pokemon cards, so you went back to your parents' house to look for yours, only to remember that you sold them or threw them out. But you get distracted when you realize Ma has a pie coming out of the oven. So now you're learning that people are paying top dollar for old Pokemon cards, specifically some old school holographic Charizard cards. and you remember them again. Only this time, you're not just remembering the card, you're remembering the memory of the card the last time that you thought of it, and all the external stimuli that you encountered with that memory, the shutter speed, etc. So it's extremely possible that you have a sudden craving for pie, or even the outright, you can like smell a fresh baked pie in that moment that you think about that Charizard card, because the memory is now connected to the memory of the Charizard.
Yeah, that I feel like that's maybe like a rare example, like the smell part. But like anytime I'm looking for something that is lost, I remember I start associating all kinds of memories with when I lost it that are never like accurate. You know what I mean? Like things cling together. It gets all jumbly.
Like you start looking for something that's lost, and you remember that one time you accidentally put the remote in the fridge, and you're like, am I really going to go in here and look for my keys in the fridge? I guess I am. Right. Like just in case, I guess.
Man, I really want a pie right now.
All right.
That sounds really good. And so I don't have to remembering my Charizard card, because I have my Charizard card right next to me, and I have a second edition holo Charizard for sale. It's not in great condition, but it's for sale.
It's a second edition holographic Charizard, and it's for sale.
Dude, I got all these cards. I got to get rid of them. But every time I go to get on eBay, I'm like, this is such a fucking pain in the ass.
Hit up the Trashcats, Trashcast at gmail.com if you want that good deal on the holographic Charizard.
God damn it. Made this whole podcast just to sell Pokemon cards.
That was the end game. It took us 26 episodes, but we got there.
As soon as I sell out, we're abandoning the show.
Make enough to buy a small boat. All right, so that was remembering.
Now forgetting, right?
Now forgetting. So first things first. Amnesia is a blanket term for partial or total memory loss. Dementia is a cause of amnesia and is a general term for decline in mental ability severe enough to interfere with daily life. Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia. Alzheimer's is a specific disease. Dementia is not.
Right.
So that was something I heard a bunch of those terms growing up, and I thought Alzheimer's and dementia were just different things. I didn't realize that Alzheimer's was a cause for dementia. Dementia is just a blanket term.
Yeah, I always get it confused, and even when doing like coding diagnoses, dementia often has to be coded as a separate thing, in addition to. But I always get them fucking confused.
So there are several different kinds of amnesia. Some of the most common ones are like when you black out when you're drunk. That's a form of amnesia. Yeah. You were talking about benzos earlier, and I realized, man, the only time I've ever actually had a Xanax, I took one, and it wasn't even like a high dosage or anything. And I took one, and I was fine for a while, and then I had like a beer, maybe not even a whole beer, and I blacked the fuck out.
They both potentiate each other. It turns into like the equivalent of like 3 Xanaxes and 3 beers.
Yeah, that's fucked. Dude. No one told me that. They were like, here, have us beer. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And it was so stupid. My whole night was wasted.
Dude, it's the best. It also, so benzos potentiate opiates also. So like you're never supposed to take them together because you don't want to breathe when you're on both, basically.
Oh, wow.
Dude, for 5 to 8 years, I probably averaged 1 to 2 bars every day.
That's wild.
Like I have whole weeks. I know I went to school and like I remember I don't remember taking exams. And then I remember going to I went back to my teacher like, I'm so sorry I forgot my exam. He's like, you did great. What do you mean? Like I would lose weeks at a time.
Damn, son.
Like totally blacked out. I'm like, how the fuck does your body keep going? It's weird.
Autopilot. For
real. So that's the retrograde, huh?
So that's just a regular. That's just like one common form of amnesia. Retrograde amnesia is when You lose existing previously made memories. This type of amnesia tends to affect recently formed memories first. Older memories, such as memories from childhood, are usually affected more slowly. Diseases like dementia cause retrograde amnesia.
That's like alcoholic-induced dementia and stuff like that, right? Where it's like damage to the brain. You start losing old memories.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, even like just regular dementia will cause retrograde amnesia.
Okay.
So that's one of the more common ones. Like Alzheimer's is typically.
But do they call it amnesia when the loss of memory is caused by Alzheimer's?
Yes, it's still amnesia.
Gotcha.
Anterograde amnesia is when you have when you can't form new memories. So the effect can be temporary. For example, you can experience it during a blackout, like when you black out from alcohol. That's anterograde. It can also be permanent. You can experience it if the area of your brain, if the hippocampus is damaged, because the hippocampus plays an important role in forming new memories. So what's interesting is that you can remove the hippocampus from your brain and you can retain old memories. You just can't create new ones, which is fucking terrifying.
That was the weirdest one ever. I think you were looking at, didn't we see a study where that happened with somebody?
Yeah. So it was a man, he had surgery. He actually had to have both. So like the hippocampus is in the middle of your brain. So there's two halves of it. He had to have both of them removed, and he lived, basically he remembered how to ride a bike and remember how to things that happened a long time ago, but he couldn't remember like what he did yesterday or what he did this morning. And, his idea of like the future was gone. Like he couldn't picture the future because of, he can't form anything new. That's not even a thing, to him. What was the quote? We might even have it in here. We don't have it in here. So his quote was, when someone asked him about the future, he said that, trying to think about the future is like going into a room to look for a chair, but there's no chairs in there. It's like, you're asking me to do a thing, but I can't do it. There's nothing for me to give you because it's not there.
Damn. You got to protect them seahorses, bro.
Protect the seahorse at all costs. Wear a helmet when you ride a bike.
Guard your hippocamp.
Infantile amnesia, and this is why I was asking about your memories from earlier. So, like, most people can't remember the first 3 to 5 years of life.
Yeah.
This common phenomenon is called infantile or childhood amnesia. I didn't realize how common it was. I just thought that I was fucked up because I couldn't remember until I was like 5 or 6.
Have I told you? This is one of my earlier ones. I feel like I maybe told you this one when we were like doing test recordings if we were going to podcast.
Mm-hmm.
When I puked at school. Did I tell you this?
Possibly.
Okay, so
you've told me some wild stories. So
this was like my first day of kindergarten, maybe, and it was a public school. Like I went to preschool at the Y, right? And I go to a public school for kindergarten. First day there, I'm getting picked on by like some older kids there, and we're in this classroom, and I remember this Asian chick running up to me and punching me like UFC style in the stomach. And I had a puzzle of the United States. You put all the states in. Dude, I puked everywhere. And my memory of my first day at kindergarten is the United States filling with puke.
Do you think of that every time you look at a map?
It comes up often. I think it's like, God damn it. It's so funny. Like I remember it was like bad at the time, but now I just think it's so funny to picture the United States filling with puke. It's beautiful.
Now that you've shared that fun kindergarten story, I got one.
Cool.
So I remember, I think it only happened one time that I pissed my pants in kindergarten. At least there's only one that really stands out, and it was when okay, so like we used to have like, one person when we had snack time in kindergarten, like a couple kids got picked, like we had like a rotating thing where, if you got picked that week or you were on that week, then you got to pass out the snacks.
Right.
And I got picked that week. Nice. And I was so fucking stoked for it. That I got to hand out it was Rice Krispie treats.
Oh yeah.
And instead of going to the bathroom, I was like, no, I got to be here to pass out these Rice Krispie treats. And I probably got about half the class, 3/4 of the class down. And I straight up pissed my sweatpants.
That's the worst. Were you able to like get out of there real quick, or did you try to play it off?
No, it was not. It was like, this is happening. I'm standing there with a plate of Rice Krispie treats in hand. Like I can't like.
Oh, shit,
I didn't want to like drop them. Like protect the Rice Krispie treats.
God damn.
And I'm just pissing myself. And my teacher shouts out to Miss Tritchler. She got me pulled out and got me to the bathroom to clean up, and I'm sure one of my parents had to bring in an extra pair of pants.
Wouldn't it be so awesome, like, if life did have a Groundhog Day aspect where, like, you literally, your past life could be the one you just lived, and you'd get to, like, reteach yourself?
I mean, yeah, that would kick ass.
Dude,
go in with new knowledge.
It would be crazy.
How fucking awesome how much you would rule.
Yeah. Oh my God. Now, should I get into dementia a little bit more?
Yeah.
Okay. So, dementia describes a group of symptoms associated with a decline in memory, reasoning, or other thinking skills. Many different types of dementia exist, and many conditions cause it. Mixed dementia is a condition in which brain changes of more than one type of dementia occur simultaneously. And I feel like that's not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia, accounting for 60 to 80% of dementia cases. Dementia is not a normal part of aging. It is caused by damage to the brain cells that affect their ability to communicate, which can affect thinking, behavior, and feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were looking at those graphs of memory, and, you have that low spike, the 3 to 5 years of age, the infantile amnesia, right?
Yeah.
And then they say, like, your teenage years are often the highest spikes because you typically remember areas of time where your life goes through a major change or defining moments. And then the rest of your adult life is pretty constant until you get older, because there is some natural loss of memory, but it should be very minor. And when it's more extreme in aging is when dementia and things come into play. Alzheimer's is a degenerative brain disease that is caused by a complex brain change following cell damage. It leads to dementia symptoms that gradually worsen over time. The most common early symptom of Alzheimer's is trouble remembering new information, because the disease typically impacts the parts of the brain associated with learning first. As Alzheimer's advances, symptoms get more severe and include disorientation, confusion, behavior changes, or even slow Alzheimer's diseases. Where was I? Behavior changes. Eventually, speaking, swallowing, and walking become more difficult. That was a terrible read. My broken brain syndrome is at full effect.
It happened, bud. You got it. You got the Alzheimer's.
I got it, bro. There is no way to prevent, cure, or even slow Alzheimer's. I will circle back to that in a minute, because there are some interesting studies coming out, but typically there's no way to cure it for sure. Mm-hmm. And slowing is unlikely to very difficult. Though the greatest known factor for Alzheimer's is increasing age, the disease is not a normal part of aging. And though most people with Alzheimer's are 65 and older, approximately 200,000 Americans under 65 have younger onset Alzheimer's disease. God, the younger onset is so tragic.
Yeah. So, I'd say Alzheimer's or dementia is one of my favorite, or not my favorite, one of my biggest, it's one of my favorite things. No, it's one of my biggest fears.
Yeah.
Between that and brain aneurysms.
I feel like it's unlikely though.
It's unlikely, yeah, but is it predictable? Also, no.
Right. Yeah, it's a total wild card for sure.
Yeah.
And we've both had personal experiences with it too.
Yeah. I'm not really afraid of snakes or spiders, aside from a healthy respect that some of them can fuck your shit up real bad. But Alzheimer's and shit like that, that's fucking terrifying to me. I think it's mostly because I've watched people, that go through it. My grandmother had dementia. And it was demonstrated with short-term memory loss, some disorientation. Typically it was just she would ask about every 20 minutes if I was hungry or if I needed anything, which was so incredibly sweet.
Yeah.
And if she would ask about her sister or a family member that had passed away, sometimes it was is my sister still alive? And, sometimes she would refer to them if she believed that they were still alive, oh, I got to call my sister or something, but we were always kind about it. We'd just tell her no, thanks. I already ate, as we watched Unsolved Mysteries or Matlock, she liked her Robert Stack and Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
But you just work around it. It's not her fault. And so anyways, I did date a girl for a little while whose grandmother also had dementia or Alzheimer's. I'm not really sure which. I know my grandmother didn't specifically have Alzheimer's. I know it was just a form of dementia.
Yeah.
But this girl's grandmother, had it, and whenever she couldn't remember something, her whole family would just yell at her. Why don't you, why you ask, you just asked me that. And it's I hated it. I hated it. I hated going over their house. Now not only is she going to remember this in 20, or she's not going to remember this in 20 minutes, she's going to be sad and upset, and she has no idea why, because she can't remember. Right. She just remembers that, you're upset with her, she's sad for whatever reason. She got yelled at. It's they're humans. It's not their choice or their fault. They're literally just trying their best.
I remember you telling me that, and I was like, what the fuck? I will say, it is so fucking hard on the family. That doesn't excuse what they did at all.
Right, yeah, it is. It is extremely pressing, and it takes a lot of patience.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, as bad as my grandmother ever got, it wasn't like that. My grandmother's dementia it got dramatically worse after my aunt died, which was really hard because it felt wrong to lie to her. But it also really sucked to have to remind her all the time that her daughter had cancer and her daughter had died. And it was my cousin made a painting of her that we had hanging up, in the living room there. And it's a gorgeous painting. But we could tell she would look at the painting of her and we could tell that she knew that something was wrong, but she just couldn't piece it together right. And that really sucked.
How long did your grandma go through it?
Most of what I remember of her was with dementia of some sort. I think it didn't start, as far as I'm aware, it didn't start until after my grandfather died, which was, I think I was 6 when that happened. So
a long time.
Yeah, it was a decent amount of time. 'Cause I think she passed when I was 17 or 18.
Dude, that's so fucking hard on the whole family when it's whether it's onset slow or quick, when it happens over a long amount of time, because it just progresses and it gets harder and harder.
Yeah. She did go, let's say she had a heart attack and she had kind of fell, but she was apparently gone before she even hit the ground, which is good.
Yeah.
She didn't have enough time to even feel the pain of falling down. So that's something. And it was right after Christmas, and we just had the family all over the house. So, well, everyone except for us, I was in Florida with my parents, but everyone else had been there, and they had. I lived with her, so yeah. I was just out of town with my parents. So
it's it says so much that she would always ask if you're hungry and stuff.
That was her concern.
Yeah, that's so sweet, man. That says so much about her character.
She'd see me sitting on the couch there after I got out of school, and I'd be sitting there, and that's all she really cared about was.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but I have a family member that just this week, she's always struggled with mental health stuff, and she's in the psych ward right now. And it's not like it was a voluntary thing, and she's doing what she needs to do to take care of her health, right? It's nothing like super tragic right now, but the whole time someone was visiting her, she kept asking or saying she should be out to take care of one of her siblings, who is not doing nearly as bad as she is, and it's one of those things like asking if you're hungry when like it just shows how sweet of a person they are. Yeah,
it's like their priorities lie, their heart is in the right place, and they're
if you're sick and you just are thinking about this, helping someone else, it just says so much. I know we've talked a lot about it. My grandma also had I'm not sure, it was Alzheimer's and dementia, I think, but she didn't she got like chronic onset as soon as my grandpa died. Similar thing. And they say that often happens with either women or men when their spouse passes, kind of thing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising if that spawns from, a form of shock or
heartbreak. Yeah. And yeah, man, my mom was a fucking saint because she took care of her for it's like almost 5 years, and I always struggled with it because I wanted to spend time with her, but she didn't know who I was most of the time, and she was like super Christian, and I look a little different, and because she didn't remember who I was, it like scared the shit out of her every time I saw her, and I feel like sometimes it was an excuse not to see her, but I also didn't want to upset her every time I saw her too. So it was like, I didn't know what to fucking do. But my mom took care of her the whole time. And it was like, it wasn't super hard for me because I wasn't like nearly as close as a lot of the other family members, but it was so hard to watch what my mom had to go through. It's like, it's just one of the fucking saddest diseases ever.
It really is.
It's so fucking brutal. Gotta love
it's really like cancer in the way that they say like it doesn't just affect like even suicide for that matter, like it doesn't just affect that person, it affects everyone around them.
Yeah, it's that bomb. Bomb thing. Grandmas are the best, right?
Yep.
Grandma's cooking and cookies and shit.
Old grandma's cookies. Speaking of grandma's cookies,
where are you going with this one, bro?
I can't possibly think of a good segue from that into this. I was really trying to figure out how I was going to make it work, but
when grandma had those flashbacks of cookies.
Yeah.
I remember that great cookie in '79.
Yeah, old grandpa's flashbacks to the war. That's part of his dementia. Is that really fucked up to do?
That's great.
So while the degenerative neurological diseases like Alzheimer's are still really mysterious to the scientific field.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Please do.
So what I wanted to circle back to it before I forget. So yeah, Alzheimer's dementia, it's still largely untreatable, but they have found links to diabetes.
Really?
So, there's definitely links between alcoholism causing dementia and leading to I think it's alcoholic Alzheimer's. There's a relation with some conditions like that, but diabetes is like they're finding a large amount of cases are linked to diagnosed or undiagnosed diabetes, and sugar having a large impact in the decay of memory.
It goes back to sugar, man. Sugar.
They're finding
the OG gateway drug.
Yeah, there's people that are having either early onset or the start of symptoms if they change their diet, like a very clean form of eating. It seems like it can slow the progression of the disease sometimes. So they're finding more and more that there's some things that can slow it, but it's not in all cases, and they're still trying to fully understand it.
There we go. Dr. Professor Steven in with the news.
It's all wrong, probably.
He read that on The Onion.
Your favorite worst doctor.
So, like I said, the neurological diseases, Alzheimer's, all that, they're constantly being studied and understood more and more. But conditions like flashbacks and PTSD are often more misunderstood, and they're stigmatized. Post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, is the only psychiatric disorder for which a specific event and experience, the trauma and the concurrent reaction, form part of the diagnosis. Traumatic events include war, terrorist attacks, interpersonal violence, and natural disasters. A small but clinically significant proportion of people who experience a trauma subsequently develop PTSD. The hallmark PTSD symptom is the re-experiencing of the trauma in the form of intrusive memories. Intrusive involuntary memories range from fleeting sensory impressions of traumatic events to very rarely full-blown flashbacks, which are so intense the patient dissociates and feels as if they are back at the time of the trauma. Frequently remarked characteristics of the traumatic re-experiencing in PTSD are its involuntary and uncontrollable nature, the strong sensory impressions in the sense of nowness or of the event occurring in the present. The sense of nowness also distinguishes involuntary memories in PTSD from other involuntary memories. These intrusive involuntary memories range from fleeting sensory impressions of traumatic events. This is a restatement of the same thing.
Deja vu.
Deja vu, you did it to me, you fucker.
Just copy and paste it over and over.
You got me, you son of a bitch.
God damn it. I wasn't sure if that was going to happen, but...
You fucking got me, fuck you.
Dude.
That's funny.
That really is the thing with PTSD. It's like, people feel like it's in the moment. And it's kind of scary. It's a weird thing. The dissociated... It really is. Full-blown flashbacks are a lot more rare, but people, it's like really reliving something. It also seems like these traumatic events are more likely to be imprinted on young children, but other times they can be blocked from the person's memory altogether. While still controversial, we also can observe forms of memory blocking in people with dissociative identity disorder, or DID, previously known as multiple personality disorder, which is a mental disorder characterized by the maintenance of at least two distinct and relatively enduring personality states. So this is something that the psychiatric community is very split on, and there's been a bunch of movies that don't show it accurately, and a bunch of court cases that have been real split in people's perception because of this disorder. It is oh my God, bro. My brain. Accompanied.
Accompany what?
Accompanied. What was the other word I had? Recoval?
Recoval.
I got that memory recoval. Accompanied by memory gaps beyond what would be explained by ordinary forgetfulness as the person dissociates between personality switches. There was a really good... Yeah, so like between somebody switching personalities, they often supposedly don't remember what was happening when they were in the other state. So it's like they could be talking, switch, and they wouldn't remember what was said before the switch. There was a new documentary on HBO called Crazy Not Insane, and it featured this doctor, I forget her name. She was kind of like the lead person studying DID. And she, at the end of her career, worked with Ted Bundy. And it kind of, towards the end, I think kind of to pique people's interest, they kind of put out a theory that had not been out there much before, that possibly Ted Bundy had multiple personalities. And there were examples of him signing letters with the name Sam and having different handwritings and things that somehow kind of went under the radar before. But like, he was always thought to have been an extreme case of bipolar with other psychopathic traits. But there's some evidence he could have had the DID. And a lot of these cases, the people literally are capable of killing people, and then they wake up and they don't remember any of it.
That's wild. That's scary too.
Yeah, people definitely have abused it or like lied about it. And there's the whole thing, are the doctors like asking questions that lead them to act the part? But it's hard to know.
Yeah.
There have been studies recently about the underlying PTSD that some people experience undiagnosed just living in a neighborhood where violence is a regular occurrence. I personally have never dealt with that extreme level of PTSD that some people go through. We mentioned in the last episode, my buddy Jim, his was like so fucking brutal. He was a soldier, and his could be totally dissociative, just in an altered state, and he wouldn't remember a lot of it. And it was so fucking scary. It is something that has affected me. There's a couple specific events that I've had to re-experience more than I would like to. And it's so weird. In retrospect, trying to understand those memories, it's helped me process them, but it's also super confusing. And it's weird when your brain, like, very vividly will recall certain aspects of an event, while other aspects of it are so hard to picture at all. It's like your brain's trying to protect yourself, and like it's so confusing. Like, I definitely don't like the 4th of July anymore. All those loud noises and shit. I hate it, man. It's like the whole neighborhood's going crazy. I'm like, I don't like this.
I gotta say, I really liked 4th of July from my last apartment, only because I was 6 floors up, and I had a really good view out of, like, I was just above downtown, like the cutoff for downtown Detroit. So I had a really wide view window of, fireworks shooting up over the horizon. So I had a nice wide array of cool shit to look at, but it didn't bother my cat at all. So otherwise it didn't bother me. But other than that, yeah, I'm not, I can do without the fucking, especially with people doing it like all, like the 2-3 weeks beforehand.
I know.
And then like, at 3:00 in the morning, it's like, I don't fucking need that shit.
Yeah. Like I don't mind. I mean, I even enjoy going to like a fireworks show.
Yeah.
Where it's like a choreographed event. I know it's going to happen, but either between living in shitty neighborhoods or being shot at a handful of times, I don't like hearing gunshots all fucking night. Like,
yeah,
I'm on edge, and I have to like not be around it. It's too much.
It's like I haven't even had that experience, and I still don't like all the fucking noise.
Yeah, it's just way too much. So what about? Yeah, go ahead.
So say we talked about that, but what's your? We want to break it down to like with either your weirdest or happiest or most vivid memory. Something that you think of that you can recall.
Yeah. I think for happy stuff, I think it's weird. I think it can change person to person. But the happy ones, like strong happy memories, they feel soft and like hard to grasp onto. And I think that's part of what makes them so special.
Yeah. I think part of that might be true because you learn more from mistakes and like shitty situations. You can learn more like, okay, don't do that. It's like a survival instinct. Cause I feel the same way about that. Like I have happy memories, but the things that I'm more prone to think of or remember easily are negative or informal.
Right. And I think part of it is maybe like the tendency of the brain / human nature tends to have a pessimistic outlook. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's different for other people. I don't know if that's like a personality trait, but I think a lot of people gravitate towards the negative memories as being the strongest. And there might be something glass half full, half empty kind of thing there. Definitely lots of happy memories, but they feel soft. Like they're kind of like real soft memories. Some of my most vivid are like the very violent things that make me not enjoy 4th of July, where it's like you always hear in like court stuff, like you remember what the gun looked like, but you can't picture the face kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's so weird what your brain will like cue onto or not. Like, I had one of the times very specifically, like I got jumped really fucking bad by like a group of people. And, like I remember parts of a fight, but like most of it's not there at all. And like I had somebody like put a gun to my head, and I remember like everything about the gun, but can't picture the faces at all. And you're like, it's like a 20-something minute encounter, and it's like you remember parts of it, but not at all. And it carries like such a strong like emotional attachment, but it's one of those things where it's something that took me a long time to deal with, but also through processing has helped me to be a lot stronger too.
Yeah.
But it's very confusing.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like, I mean, I don't have experiences like that. I mean, the closest I ever got to that was outside of school, and there's a dude that kept trying to ask me for my phone. I had a flip phone that could play music on it, and there was a kid. Like that was a big deal back then, that I actually had a speaker on it. And I, like an full MP3, it was a Sony phone. That's why it was like Walkman or whatever. Anyways, the kid came up and he kept asking if he could see it, if he could hold it. And I'm like, dude, I don't know you. He was like, you just let him hold it. It's like, I know him. It's like, I'm not just going to hand you my phone. Anyway, he pulled up his shirt, and he apparently had a gun. I didn't see it because I'm like right in front of him, but someone next to me seen it, and they were like trying to pull me back away from him, and I didn't even realize it until afterward, and ended up getting broken up by somebody, but it was
but even that, like it's something you'll never fucking forget.
Yeah, and like
your
now
brain damage, like
now in my memory, like I can recall in my memory that he had a gun, but it was only because, later on someone said something about it. Right.
That's weird too. Like, yeah, there's moments of this specific encounter I had that this dude, it was like a gang that lived near my apartment, and like I was the white kid, and I was like super fucked up, and I decided to like go running in my pajamas at 3 a.m, like nodded out on dope, like I'm gonna go for a jog, like just trashed, right? And I'd seen some of these dudes before, and they like fucking waited for me and jumped me, but it was like the big brother had a gun, and the rest of them were like 10 years old, bro.
Oh wow.
So it was like, they weren't 10. I mean, maybe a couple of them were, but some of them were older.
They're way younger than you.
Yeah. And like, I'm like trying to stab little kids, like you can get away.
Yeah.
And then like the dude had a gun to me, and they like beat me for like 20 minutes. Like all my piercings got ripped out. My nose was broken. It was like super bad. But there's parts of it like I know that happened for sure. And then other parts where I'm like, is this like, have I retold myself the story so many times that I think things happened that didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, you hear like in court cases, like people not remembering how many shots were fired or like specific parts. You're like, how the fuck could you not remember that? But like, you'll remember exactly what.
It was so traumatic.
Yeah, it's so weird.
I have a fun memory that I can vividly remember. I was thinking about this, but it came up when I was trying to think of my earliest memory. I'm gonna just completely switch gears. So it was shortly after I learned how to ride a bike, and I rode. Let's go from Steven getting jumped and getting his ass kicked to me riding to the store with my dad on my bike. We rode up to UDF. It was when we were at Price Hill, and I remember we rode our bike, like, it was like the first time I crossed the street on my bike, and we went across, by Dempsey Park and by, Whittier, the old Whittier building, and to the, UDF next to the Gold Star on, what is that, Warsaw? Anyways, I remember we went in there and we got candy. And it was the first time I ever had a sugar daddy, which I don't even think they sell anymore. But it was like, so. Do you remember those?
I remember them, but I never got them.
It was like candy coated caramel, and they had like sugar babies, which was like the little ones. But then sugar daddies were the ones that were like a fucking stick with caramel on it. Ugh. And it was great. It was so good. Terrible. And it was like, you fucking, it lasts for forever. You couldn't finish that motherfucker in one sitting. It's too hard to chew.
Like those Charleston chews.
Yeah, man. We fucking like them motherfuckers too. Anyways, I just remember riding a bike around with my dad, and I think I might have gotten a Yoo-hoo too. The fucking Yoo-hoos were the fucking shit.
They're so good. I'll drink them like water.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm trying to picture drinking that on a hot day. I had a Slim Fast shake I brought it for dinner the other night, not too long ago to work. And, I work on a food truck and it's like 80 something degrees. And we're like sweating our balls off in this hot ass sun. And I realized it was such a huge mistake. Like that's what I brought for dinner for myself. And like, if I drank this right now, I would die. I would surely die. Like, I'm dehydrated.
Is it because it's dairy?
Yeah, it's like a milkshake, like a coffee caramel milkshake or some shit.
See, I'm one of those people, if it's 95 degrees out and I come inside, I want milk.
You're fucked. You're super fucked. There's you could get have a heart attack by doing that. That's like a thing.
Because the milk's so good?
Because it's, yeah.
This milk's so fucking good. Dude, if I had an unlimited supply of milk, I don't know if I'd ever drink water. I just bring my little baby cow with me everywhere I go.
That sounds so fucking gross.
Like, hey, man, you want a glass of milk? And I squirt you up a glass of milk. And
Jesus fuck, boys. Let me tell you, the only time I've had milk, like dairy milk, in the last several years, like those I'll have, but like it's like kind of thinner than it's like a skim milk or whatever. And then I've had like Guernsey's chocolate milk. So Guernsey's like a local dairy farm here. It'd be like disgusting. Getting like what's the one? Is it Trouth in Cincinnati? Is like the local dairy shit.
I know it's not. It's a similar name.
Yeah, or getting some from UDF, I guess. But so it's either they have like a chocolate milk and they have their fucking eggnog is the dopest eggnog. Ugh. See, you love milk. You won't drink eggnog.
I'm not putting eggs in my milk. That's disrespectful to the cow.
Oh, you're so fucked. You're so fucked up, Steve.
Oh, shit. Where the fuck were we,
This changes everything. We can't be friends anymore. How much milk you drink.
So we go get jump, sugar daddies, and memory.
Memory recoval. Let's talk about it.
Dude, that has to be like a brain damage thing.
Apparently, I think so.
I legit thought recoval was a word. I've been thinking about it all week, man. Like, what does recoval mean?
Recoval.
I typed it out like 4 times.
It's like, yeah, it's that thing. I'm like, no, it's not. You fucking shit.
I can't spell memory, and I'm using recoval as a noun.
Well, I was the first one to misspell memory, but
good old meme Roy. Okay,
Roy.
So, recovering memories.
Yeah, tell me how to recover memories. Fucking milk drinking.
I read this shit that I wrote earlier. It's so fucking stupid. So definitely like spent a lot of time trying to forget shit, but there's so much shit that like it would be so cool to remember too. Mm-hmm. If you looked into any of the repressed memory recoval.
I didn't until we started doing this, and I was reading this bit earlier. You got some really cool information here on that.
Yeah,
I had considered like the therapy kind of stuff a little bit for that, but I realized like obviously I can't remember anything because it's repressed or whatever. But like I don't think I have anything in that I have repressed.
You got a dark secret in there somewhere.
Yeah, I really don't think so. I'm pretty sure my childhood was pretty chill.
We got to get it out.
Yeah.
Demon out of you. It's going to be like...
People are going to think we're fucking high this episode.
You're going to have some weird milk-based memory that's going to come back.
And that's why he doesn't drink milk now.
Right. So, rightly or wrongly, recovered memories are most often associated with UFO shit or like court cases involving abuse. And they are not fully accepted as legit in the scientific community or legal systems. And that's not always the case. There's a lot of times, especially with court case stuff and abuse stuff, there's a lot of like legitimate reasons memories can be repressed, but it is often looked at as less legitimate. Mm-hmm. And that can be pretty unfair at times. They often do these recovered memory therapies. A lot of it they do in shows and shit with the light. They'll use like the strobe light, ticking, talking. And there's something with that where the rapid eye movement can help access retrieve memories or repressed memories. But recovered memory therapy is a catch-all term for a controversial and scientifically discredited form of psychotherapy that utilizes one or more unproven interviewing technique, such as hypnosis, guided imagery, and the use of sedative and or hypnotic drugs to reportedly help patients recall previously forgotten memories. Proponents of recovered memory therapy claim, contrary to evidence, God, this article like really doesn't like the recovered memory therapy.
Yeah.
That traumatic memories can be buried in the subconscious and thereby affect current behavior, and that these memories can be recovered through the use of recovery memory therapy, RMT. RMT is not listed in the DSM-5, nor is it recommended by mainstream ethical and professional mental health associations. I think that is typically true.
Yeah.
So because I'm so interested, I kind of wanted to pivot a little bit and talk about some of these drugs. So there's all kinds of stories where people say crazy shit or buy a bunch of shit on Amazon after taking too much Ambien and they don't remember any of it. Obviously, alcohol, benzos, barbiturates are all great for decaying memories, but some of the other ones are pretty fucking wild. I think a lot of people are familiar with GHB, date rape drug, totally blank out memories. One of the other really weird ones, do you know scopolamine?
No.
All right, so this is the zombie drug, and there's been...
Oh, I do know that one.
Yeah, it was a tribe thing, I believe, in South America, but like you inhale a powder and you enter a dissociative state where people have tried to use it successfully and most often unsuccessfully to control someone to like dose them and then try to get them to go to their ATM and empty out their bank accounts and shit, because you can still function, but you're like completely malleable. It's very weird. And there's a lot of other drugs, obviously, that can drastically alter memory and consciousness. But one of the most intriguing to me is the so-called truth serum, sodium pentothal. Were you familiar with this one previously?
Familiar with it only in like the idea of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know like shit about its. I know that it's not really truth serum. It just makes you more susceptible to, it limits your inhibitions to, try to conceal, I guess, information or whatever.
Yeah, dude, I've always been very curious about this, and I've always wanted to get my hands on it, but I don't think it would be a wise decision.
Hell no.
It's kind of scary, the idea of remembering something, or truth seruming yourself. But sodium pentothal is a rapid onset, short-acting barbiturate general anesthetic. It is sometimes used as a substitute for propofol. It was previously the first of 3 drugs administered during most lethal injections in the United States. And as we know, the U.S. manufacturer Hesperia stopped manufacturing the drug, and the European Union banned the export of the drug for this purpose. And that's why there's states currently bringing back firing squads and the electric chair and shit, because they can't get these lethal injection drugs, which the first of the 3 typically is sodium pentothal. And they use it for that because at a high dose, they just put you straight unconscious with it, basically. And that's supposed to be the drug that keeps you from feeling the execution.
I just thought of a fun meme to make. And you remember the episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Dee and Dennis get hooked on crack?
Oh, of course. It's one of the best.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the scene I was going to say. Oh, did someone get addicted to crack? But it's like, oh, did someone get addicted to lethal injections?
That's sodium pentothal.
Oh, no, you have to kill people by other means?
Yeah, dude. It's an interesting problem, though. I mean, it's kind of surprising that these companies were willing to ban the export of. I don't know if it's a good thing, though.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to like prevent. They don't want it to be used for killing people.
It's a hard call, though, because I don't think the state or the Fed should be executing people. But if we ban, I never think drugs are the problem. So if we make the drugs illegal, like, are we just gonna shoot everyone? I don't know.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, it's got to be a shitty situation for the companies, but at the same time, they've been profiting off of selling drugs to kill prisoners for half a century.
That looks bad.
That'll do it.
That's a bad look, dog.
Yeah.
So while less commonly used today, it is still used in places like India as a truth serum to weaken the resolve of a subject and make the individual more compliant to pressure. Barbiturates decrease both higher cortical brain function and inhibition. Some psychiatrists hypothesize that because lying is more complex than telling the truth, suppression of the higher cortical functions may lead to the uncovering of the truth. The drug tends to make subjects verbose and cooperative with interrogators. However, the reliability of confessions made under thiopental is questionable.
That's definitely true. Like, even if you just drink too much alcohol, you'll start telling people all your personal shit, right? Like, it's easier to tell the truth than the lie, but the information is often highly unreliable because all kinds of, like, delusions are mixed in, or, like, missed memory information, and it's not reliably accurate.
All right. Psychiatrists have also used it to desensitize patients with phobias and to facilitate the recall of painful repressed memories. One psychiatrist who worked with thiopental is the Dutch professor John Bastiaans, is the way I'm gonna, or either that or Jan Bastiaans.
John.
Yeah, I read Dutch and I thought John kind of sound like the thing. Anyways, they used this procedure to help relieve trauma in the surviving victims of the Holocaust in an attempt to retrieve memories to prosecute war crimes.
That is wild.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. Great use of it.
Right.
So the truth serum was abused against psychotic patients as part of old discredited practices of psychiatry, and it's no longer used. In a therapeutic context, the controlled administration of intravenous hypnotic medications is called narcosynthesis or narcoanalysis. The practice of chemically inducing an involuntary mental state is now widely considered to be a form of torture.
I really like that last sentence.
Getting somebody high that would be torture.
Yeah, or even like people involuntary in mental health places. Like it could be a pretty barbaric thing to force someone on a medication, even if they really should be on it. You know?
Yeah, if they don't want it, yeah.
It gets pretty dark. I really like narcosynthesis too.
Yeah.
The administration of intravenous hypnotic medications. That sounds so fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Don't you just want to
just drip some acid in my IV, dog?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
They do that a lot in Fringe.
Dude, I think I'm really gonna enjoy that one.
Yeah, I think you will. It's a really good show.
So side note real quick, some substances have been proven to be very effective. So instead of forgetting drugs to help you remember other shit, there's a lot of drugs effective for memory and memory recall, including GABA, creatine, and some stimulants. Creatine often isn't thought of for anything except muscle, body, physical shit, but it also has a mental effect. There's also a whole new upcoming class of drugs people call smart drugs, which is kind of a bullshit term, but they can be used as neuroenhancers. A lot of those drugs are basically forms of mild stimulants because Ritalins or amphetamines and shit really do have a very valid effect on the mind that can be used for very effective purposes. Do you remember the Nazis had I'm pretty sure it's the Nazis that invented meth, right? And they had the tank bars.
Oh, you know what? I do remember hearing that.
The German chocolate bars full of meth, so the tank commanders wouldn't have to sleep.
Yeah,
kamikaze pilots.
Yeah, they use that for pilots. Yeah, too.
Yeah, you can unlock new levels of efficiency, but it also. I heard somebody describe it recently. Stimulants in general, as effective as they can be, there's a tendency to be drawn to evil, which is so cheesy, but it is a thing. It makes you want to be dark. I personally really like GABA. I think we've talked about it a little bit, and I use it a lot of times before recording podcasts or doing something where I need to be focused. Mm-hmm. And it's just an amino acid combination, but it really zens you out. But we talked earlier, the biggest factors affecting the strength of memory are emotion, location, and storytelling. So different drugs and stuff definitely play a big factor, but those variables around a memory are typically the biggest things. As interesting as I think it would be to try some of these recovery techniques or therapies, I think it really blurs the line between memory and imagination, and it's too easy to recover or even craft false memories. I don't know what we could trust or not trust. I think our minds are much more fragile than we sometimes give them credit for. Even with the best of intentions, I don't want one of these fringe psychologists from your show poking around in my brain, accidentally prompting subliminal memories, and I'm not trying to go to the doctor's office and get inceptioned.
Yeah, man.
Get that fucking movie.
Right? So
it's been a while.
Yeah, it has. I haven't watched that one in a while. Leonardo DiCaprio movies in general I really like, but that one I feel like it got a bad rep. And I don't really know why, because I really like that fucking movie.
Honestly, there were parts of it. I think it hit a lot of cheesy markers, but it's one of those ones like I think it got hype, and then the film critics didn't want it to be good, or like thought it was overhyped. But like, I don't give a fuck. That movie makes me want to cry every fucking time. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I really like that one. You know, it's because it is really fucked up. It is, you know, a kind of a scary thought to think of, you know, and it gets cheesy in the way that it's kind of like The Matrix in that way, but it's
but still so like important.
Yeah.
Like the things they touch on, even though it gets cheesy, it's like it doesn't feel cheesy when you're into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, that line, do you want to become an old man filled with regret, waiting to die alone? That is like, that line is stuck in my head over all the years. That felt so fucking intense when he says it. In the movie, the process of inception works by placing the simplest form of an idea deep in the character's subconscious as though they are dreaming, through a series of suggestions that effectively lead the character to give himself the idea. And the subconscious, we're told, is motivated by emotion, not reason, and that positive emotion trumps a negative one. The very deepest level of the subconscious is represented by a safe or vault inside which the mind keeps its most private thoughts and or memories. I think that's an awesome concept, that positive emotion trumps negative one, just like we were talking with memories, specifically positive or negative. Yeah. But I think it's definitely a romantic thought.
Yeah, I don't think that that's entirely true.
Yeah, makes for a great movie, but I think reality is rarely that way. Typically, you remember seeing a gun or something fucked up happening a lot more than a nice Sunday morning with your significant other. And it's like, shouldn't be that. I don't know. Maybe it's not that way for some people, but it feels like it's that way for most people.
There's an actual therapist out there listening to this show right now, like shaking because they can't, like, they have something to say about how fucked up we are.
Hit us up on the email.
Yep. Tell us, diagnose us based on this podcast.
God, that'd be funny. Like memories, it's all just stories we tell ourselves. So whether positive or negative, whichever emotion we tell ourselves is the most important, really could be the most significant to our memory. Mm-hmm. I've always been super jealous of people who remember their dreams a lot. I know that's something. Aren't you pretty good at?
I maybe more than some people. I wouldn't say I remember a lot of my dreams, but I definitely have some vivid ones, and I try to wake up and write it down if I have one that's significant enough. I did have a really strong one either yesterday or the day before. I woke up and I had a really vivid dream, and I didn't see it noteworthy enough that I wanted to write it down, but I just remember having a really vivid dream.
Yeah.
If I had stopped in that moment to write it down, I would have it now, but...
Right. They say, both with dreams and memory, just the act of like writing it down or telling somebody, it's like notes in school. It helps you remember better too.
Yeah.
I'm even more jealous of people who are able to experience the lucid dreaming. That is the coolest shit ever. Sarah is regularly able to achieve that. I'm like, that sounds so fucking cool. Yeah. She's like flying around with like giant bunnies and shit. And I'm like, just blacked out.
Yeah, I've only like once or twice been able to experience anything close to lucid dreaming, and I don't think it's even still on the level that some people describe their abilities to.
The only time I've ever had choice in dreams are like nightmares. It's never been like a freedom thing.
Yeah, I think of the two times where I would consider what I had was lucid dreaming, one was a nightmare that ended up with, an actual like a sleep paralysis thing.
I was about to say, dude, that is scary shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So only
the other one was flying.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That sounds so much fun. But it was a bad dream still?
No, the other one was good. The flying one was cool.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It was like Mario 64 flying.
Oh,
you kind of going up and then soaring down and picking up altitude and shit. Like, that's what it felt like.
Did you have a cape?
I did not have a cape. I did have so what I actually had was like, I think I talked about it on the podcast before, maybe not. It was like one of those things that like you hold on to, like divers hold on to when they go under the water.
Oh,
and it's got like the propellers on it or whatever. It was something like that I was holding out in front of me, so I'm like Superman in it.
That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. What about, do you remember Dolly, his thing?
A little bit. Yeah. He had like,
he was always jealous of lucid dreamers, and he had like a whole weird sleep schedule thing where he was trying not to sleep a lot. But he used to try to train himself to lucid dream by sleeping in a chair while holding a key. So it's like a totem almost in Inception. So when he would fall asleep, he'd drop the key, and he thought it was easier to enter the dream states that like in short sleeps, or maybe that was just how he was trying to sleep less because he had these schedules, but he was trying to practice lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
What a rascal.
Yeah, he was wild as fuck. His concepts of science was pretty bugged out.
Ooh, the clock is melting. I have an anteater.
Well, somebody. I have an anteater.
And while lucid dreaming is a real but rare possibility, the idea of implanting or incepting an idea or memory in another person is a much more complicated thing. And when we see cases of false memory from recovered memory therapy or hypnosis, it almost always occurs when the person is willing. Just like the stage hypnosis shit, those guys who like turn the crowd into chickens or whatever. It's like those people are weak-minded. They're weak-willed idiots. They fell for the trick because they wanted to. I really feel that way. There's no fucking way if you have a strong or stubborn mind, you're going to be dancing like a chicken unless you're playing along, right?
Yeah, playing along for sure.
Trashcats don't dance.
We just pull up our pants and do the rock away.
Son of a bitch. Implanting a memory in a person without consent is a whole different ballgame, but it does happen. The most common examples of false memories occur with children. Fabricating memory is easiest when the person is prone to suggestion. If you were to tell a young child for years that they experienced something that they didn't, it wouldn't be that abnormal that eventually they create their own memories that align that story.
Yeah.
The combination of social pressure and imagination is a powerful thing. I know have you seen that study where they have the line drawings? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The line drawings? No.
It's like the biggest study on social pressure, and it was done, I believe, in the 70s. It's named after the guy, but it's been repeated to this day. It's like a major study, and they have, when they do those, there's like 5 lines drawn on a piece of paper, and they're like, does A match B or does A match C? And the lines are different lengths. Mm-hmm. Have you seen those?
They're not at all.
Okay. Well, they'll have like 5 lines, and one of them's the one you have to compare the other lines to the length of the first line, right?
Yeah, I get the concept. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they'll have 5 people take a quiz of a series of those, and everyone except one person is in on the experiment, and they all agree to the wrong answers. And the experiment is actually, if the one person who doesn't know it's a test will change their answers to agree with the group.
Oh.
And it's been done like, it's got to be hundreds of thousands of times by now. And 2/3 of all people, like within a couple answers, start changing their answers to fit the group.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. I mean, it says a lot, but yeah. I feel like a lot of people think they're strong-willed, but if you actually are, there's no way. There's no way.
Do you remember? Damn, I don't remember the girl's name. There's it was in the 90s and I think early 2000s. There was a girl who so her mom like faked that she had all these illnesses and shit and was like crippled and stuff, and like so that they could get like funding and like trips to Disney World and all kinds of crazy shit, because they thought that she was like gonna die, and like she was like, you know, terminally ill and had all these, you know, wild shit, like she was always in a wheelchair and stuff like that. Like they were at Disney like all the fucking time.
I do vaguely remember this, but I don't remember.
There's a full documentary about it. Like, anyways, like the girl like finds out that, you know, like she realizes at a certain point that like she's not actually, you know, sick, and she's not, you know, she's just like, she gets her head shaved and stuff like that, and like she's growing up and like she doesn't know what's real anymore. Like eventually she's, you know, realizes that she's not, and like she meets some guy online in like a chat room, and like they kill her mom, and like there's a whole fucking it's fucking wild. And there's like a bunch of debate going back about like how much she actually knew about it, but it's like this was like forced on her ever since she was a very, very small child.
Yeah, she's probably
she's broken by that.
Did she kill her mom?
I'm not sure if it was her. I think it was this dude that she was talking to. Like, she convinced him to do it.
Yeah, that's definitely a form of abuse by the parent.
Yeah. Real fucked up. I mean, you know, the pressure, you know, of another person, it so can strongly create that false memory. Like you see it with law enforcement all the time.
Yeah.
You know, between the inaccurate witness statements and false confessions, you know, it's clear that memory isn't always reliable as we think. In a study shared by the Innocence Project, mistaken eyewitnesses identifications contributed to approximately 69% of more than the 375 wrongful convictions in the United States, overturned by post-conviction DNA evidence. It's fucked. It's really fucked. You know, that's so many people. And this has often been the result of police pressure on the victim to identify a perp for an overzealous prosecution. Even just by showing a victim a photo lineup of a person can provide subtle, even unconscious clues about which suspect to pick by the police officers themselves. You know, these subliminal cues can infect the enemy's memory and often led to false convictions. To avoid the double-blind lineups to avoid this double-blind lineup should be used where officers present officers who don't know who the suspect is. You know,
I made a mistake there. Yeah, the officers should not know who the suspect is when they display a lineup, photo or reel. It doesn't, like, there's all these cases that they go back and look at now where, like, eventually the victim like identifies a suspect because they were shown that person's photo the most times. Yeah. Where like that person's photo shouldn't have been used in multiple photo lineups, but they kept doing it, or it was in a position, or the pattern of the photos, and eventually that person, their brain's trying to figure out the pattern of a face they can't fully remember. And they keep having the same photos put in front of them, and eventually that person becomes the perpetrator.
Yeah. The other one is like the leading questions and stuff that they can just ask, like, so it was this guy, you know, so you're saying it was that guy, and it's like, well, they kind of look like that guy, and you're like, so you're saying it was him, you know, and It's like, you know, even just like the little stuff like that, it's like, you want to have an answer. You want to feel like that you know what happened to you when something, you know, traumatic happened like that. So I can see where it's easier to you know, fall victim to that, or like the one where they an example that I found doing research was like they'll ask, and so you're saying you were drunk, and it's like I was at the bar, you know, drinking, and then we went out to this place, and then this happened. And it's like, oh, so you're saying you were drunk? And it's like, no, I didn't say I was drunk.
That's literally, the cops refer to that as laying traps. Like the double-ended question shit. And if you're good at like setting up an interrogation or conversation with traps and like knowing how to get somebody into a corner like that, it is pretty fucking hard to get out of.
Yeah, that's some devious shit.
Fuck yeah, lawyer up ace.
Yeah. As we learn more about how the brain functions, more devious possibilities are also emerging.
This shit's crazy.
Yeah, so Stephen put this in here. He found a recent paper from Nature Neuroscience describing how scientists were able to create or implant an artificial memory into mice. It's fucking wild.
Dude, I've seen some other ones too where like somebody gets an organ transplant and like the organ operates in a way like it's remembering its past body. Like if the original person has like a weird blood condition, but the organ's fine, and they implant the organ into somebody else after the person dies, and the organ still like has a memory of how the host body was different before. It'll like operate like it was the old body for a period of time. And I think there's been a couple cases with aspects of I don't think they're doing full brain transplants, right? But they're doing parts, right?
Yeah, I think there was supposed to be one like last year. I don't even know if that actually happened or not.
I think it did.
I think it was like a full head transplant is what it was.
Yeah. God, that chick that had the full face. That was all tied to that chimp Travis. Yeah. But the brain thing was a whole other thing altogether. I think you're right. It was a whole head transplant. But I think there's been cases where memories have carried over from different brain part transplants as well.
Yeah, now I got to look into the head transplant. We'll have to do an episode on that whole story because that whole story is wild.
Do you want me to pick it up if you want to check that out?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So they're able to create or implant an artificial memory into mice, which is fucking crazy. Science did this with optogenics, which allows researchers to control neurons by shining a light on them. Using this technique, they simultaneously activate areas of the brain related to the perception of an odor and areas of the brain associated with either reward or aversion. They were able to make mice respond to an odor that they had never smelled before as if they had. So they're literally fucking with their neurons and creating like neural pathways to make you think you experience something.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's really fucked up.
And obviously a smell you've never smelled, that's the smallest form of a memory, but like the capabilities of that are incredible with further research. I mean, implantation of false memories in mice has previously been achieved. In that study, scientists were able to alter a previous fear memory in mice by activating the cells that contain the memory. However, what's more exciting in that new study, that researchers were able to actually create artificial memories from scratch. This is the first time this has been successfully been done without any external sensory experience, just by manipulating specific areas of the brain. What the fuck?
Yeah. So back to the head transplant. This is actually very interesting. The 33-year-old man suffering from a debilitating disease who volunteered to have his head transplanted onto another person's body has pulled out of the experimental operation. He backed out of it.
Oh.
Apparently, he found love and he became a dad. Which is
Doesn't he
great
need a brain?
and awesome. No, he needs a body. His brain is cool. He has a muscle wasting condition. So he was going to have his body have his head implanted onto another person's body.
Oh my god, that has to be so fucking scary.
Yeah,
the idea of that is terrifying.
Yeah, they were going to have to replace, connect the nerves and his like spinal cord and everything to another person's spinal cord and nerves and shit. Like there was a whole process. The guy had the process laid out of like how it was going to happen, but yeah, he backed out of it. So
it would be kind of fun to Freaky Friday and like switch bodies with somebody for a little bit. That'd be fun.
Just for a little bit. I don't have a like 48-hour surgery or whatever they were talking about. It was going to be an immense surgery.
God damn. Yeah, that'd be too weird. I'd imagine like the stuff with face transplants or major plastic surgery, there often is like psychological conditions of disassociation with your own body, because you be like not recognizing yourself, not feeling complete. Like it could be very hard to adjust to a new body like that.
Right. And
that'd be creepy.
And you're prone to like, you would have to be prone to, intrusive and voluntary memories that range from fleeting sensory impressions of traumatic events and, very rarely full-blown flashbacks that are so intense that, the patient dissociates and feels as if they are back at the time of the trauma. And there's your deja vu, you son of a bitch.
Our audience is going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're fucking tripping out. The deja vu, it really is. It's a really wild, a concept in general. That's, it's not really explainable. It's explainable with different ideas, but it's not proven. Of like why it works or like why it works the way that it does. It feels, it feels like you're experiencing something, for that you've already felt before, even if it's like, if that's impossible, that you've felt that exact same thing and been in this same place at this same time. I guess it's not impossible in every situation, but it's, there's so many times where you swear, like, I've never, how is this exact conversation and, these people are all in the same exact location and, it's just fucked.
It feels almost like a fight or flight response where you're like, it feels like your brain's telling you that you've been unconscious to something that you should have. It reminds me of like a QAnon or a conspiracy person being like, it was all right in front of you and you didn't see it. Like, just wake up to the truth, man. Like you're missing this cue, but it's like, it goes off in your brain. You're like, oh shit. Like what am I not knowing? You know?
I like the idea, because I know I've talked about it before, the string theory idea of, it's a timeline that's crossing paths with yours. And that's why you experience it, because in a different timeline, you did just experience that. That's why you feel like you have the experience twice.
I get what you mean. Now, you were saying that, were you saying that would fuck up string theory, though?
You said you had mentioned deja vu acting a certain way. And that's why it would fuck up the theory. You said if deja vu was specifically was affected by a certain reason, and I forget what that reason was.
Our finest work.
It really is. I don't know. I feel like this is a really good one so far. This is fun.
It's trippy. It's fun. Now I've noticed for myself, I'm not experiencing it much anymore. And I don't know if that's an age thing or like if my brain chemistry has changed. I feel like I used to have the deja vu feelings a lot. I don't think I've had it in years.
I can second that. Yeah, I feel like I had it several times during school, but I just maybe a handful of times I can point to in my adult life.
Is it because we're becoming blind to the truth, man?
Yep, that's it. That's it. We're just sheeples.
Sheeples. There is something to it, like where do you ever get it so intense you're like convinced the situation has happened before?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
to the point where it fucks you up and it like makes you like skittish a little bit.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's like we experienced it in a dream, and that's what we're remembering something we experienced in a subconscious state.
Maybe that's what you brought up. You said like, what if that was real? That you can, they show that it's like it's a dream thing. And I said, I mean, like that's a cool idea. I don't think. That's scarier than the other timelines for me, because it's so like up to chance, and that means that in my dream I predicted the future, or I saw a prophecy.
But just like infinite space theory, where there's millions of bizarro versions of ourselves, right? Like,
yeah.
It could go on so far. All the possibilities are possible. These studies on dreams have shown like it's not an infinite amount, but it's like we could have experienced millions and millions of like micro dreams we don't remember. So like, I don't think it's so improbable. Like if we were having a conversation in real life and you said something that sets off my sense of deja vu, I see it as very possible that I could have had a dream where, even if it's not exact because it's such a hazy subconscious memory, that something I experienced in a dream could set off that, deja vu experience with a person, because our brain is trying to work through the past and future and all these different options in the dreams, that it kind of can experience parts of the future.
I can say that I feel like you're right. It's not that improbable.
I kind of wonder how many dreams we have a night that we don't remember, though. I feel like the number kind of does affect the likelihood of deja vu being related.
Yeah, I think people say like most of the time, like you have dreams like all the time. You just don't remember them.
Yeah. I just don't remember many, but I feel like the studies have said there's like we go through a lot of dreams each night. Like a lot. But I don't know.
Some of the I was going to say like, sometimes it feels like you just have one, but I realize that I feel like I've had some of the longer feeling dreams I've ever had have been, in a shorter, time period, like, in over an hour and a half or something. And I realized like, oh fuck, how have I only been awake or been asleep for an hour and a half? But dude, I just went on a full ass adventure.
Those are so weird because it really feels like you have like aspects of another lifetime or timeline, like strength, like there was a whole nother lifetime you lived. Some people definitely get that with like psychedelics, like DMT, salvia specifically. People have alternate timelines sometimes. It's so fucking weird.
I never tripped that hard on salvia.
It's the worst. So I think we're getting towards the end. Should we get into the decay?
Yeah, the absolute breakdown. It's
absolute breakdown.
So when, of course, so there's memory. When there's
memory. Meanwhile, the memory. And my milk cow.
So you can create memories. You can lose memories. Through various different methods and whatnot. But of course, as you age and, through time alone, like you're going to have some type of memory decay. Like it's not all of that information remains relevant. 1 year after an event, 50% of the details you can recall change. You're more likely to remember details related to time and place. And research believe that this is due to the type of cells in your hippocampus. It's so important for your memory storage. You're less likely to remember what you did immediately before or after that event, or who you were with. The decay theory is a theory that proposes that memory fades due to the mere passage of time. Information is therefore less available for later retrieval as time passes and memory, as well as memory strength, wears away. When an individual learns something new, a neurochemical memory trace is created. However, over time, this trace slowly disintegrates. Actively rehearsing information is believed to be a major factor in counteracting this temporal decline. It is widely believed that neurons die off gradually as we age, yet some older memories can be stronger than most recent memories. Thus, decay theory mostly affects the short-term memory system, meaning that older memories in long-term memory are often more resistant to shocks or physical attacks on the brain. It is also thought that the passage of time alone cannot cause forgetting, and that decay theory must also take into account some processes that occur as more time passes.
I really like that.
Yeah. And I mean, you can only fit so much into your head anyways. I mean, while you might be able to, remember a lot and, with practice, you can remember more and more and more. But like when your body or when your brain decides like, this isn't useful information, like this goes into deep storage, right. We can just get rid of this.
Yeah. It's weird what will come up even though you think you forgot too. I really like the neurochemical memory tracers though.
Yeah.
That's very intriguing. It also kind of makes me ponder like actual tracers, typically drug induced or even like head injury, like when you have, you know what I mean? Tracers.
Yeah.
What if those are like memories of what you saw?
Oh, that's wild.
And that's why like, they ghost out, but it's like your brain's not functioning right. I'm sure there's probably like a visual cortex reason why, but I wonder if it has any ties to memory also. But it's weird how like both with the mice and the memory tracers, like how these things like relate on an actual like biological chemical level.
Yeah.
It seems impossible. Like if you had like, you could, Honey, I Shrunk the Kid small enough to go to your fucking neurons. You're like, oh, I'm going to fiddle with this and fiddle with that. You could like change how your body experiences something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it's weird.
And that's something they did in Fringe, of course, a lot too. There's one scene that
magic school bus shit.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, it's just some magic school bus shit. But no, they're not like they shrunk down, but like they're cutting into someone's head and they're taking out memories and they're taking out, bits and pieces. And it becomes a major plot point that someone's trying to get pieces of their brain back because they need to remember certain things.
That's fun.
It's fucked up, but yeah.
It'd be so cool if you could steal people, or if you could buy. There's been a few sci-fi. This isn't an original thought, but like sci-fi books, films where you're able to like buy memories like a drug, or buy experience. Matrix boot up Kung Fu.exe, but it'd be so cool if you could like steal people's memories altogether.
Kung Fu.exe.
Kung Fu.exe.
Just suddenly Kung Fu.
Yeah.
You're master Kung Fu.
What if you could like Jack the Ripper somebody and like drink their brain juices and you gain their experiences?
Drink their brain juices?
Make a shake, blend it up.
Was that really a thing that Jack the Ripper did?
No.
I was gonna say, what the fuck does it? I know he ate he took organs and shit, right? Or took pieces of the brain.
Yeah, I think sometimes he would tie bows with their intestines.
It's fucked up.
He did do some interesting placement stuff, but not as crazy as I think he was thought to have been with it. But in relation to the decay theory, I think I've spoke a little bit about this, but I have a couple thoughts or theories in relation to this. And I really think we experience both time and memory differently with age. Mm-hmm. And as a kid, time is so fucking slow. Nothing happens quick enough. You want to be older, faster, and just it's like you're stuck in like time's like a thick soup that you're stuck wading through. And then as you get older, it's just like so fast. And it like time's gone before you know it. And I think that rate of time changes with the momentum of its own weight. Like the more time that passes, the faster time is moving, kind of thing.
It's interesting because it feels right.
I feel like it is a thing because like we grow old so fast, and this is like our brain's way of like protecting us from death, like self-defense mechanisms. So like before you have less time to process death because you're aging faster.
Mm-hmm.
Like not that time's moving faster, but we perceive it faster.
That's
and
interesting.
I think it directly correlates to memory. As the more time that passes, the more memory decay we experience. So the brain's self-defense to handle all these memories, it's like the memories are too much. We're not meant to hold all of them. Mm-hmm. And over the span of lifetime, it's either too much or too painful to process. And our perception of time becomes faster to cope with that. Or, to the decay of those memories, so they're easier to handle.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot less regret this way. And so it's like you're not as easily stuck. And that the flow of memory is like a weird form of grace. Because we're not supposed to remember it all.
Yeah.
We're supposed to accept we're going to die.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I think so.
That's a fun way of looking at it. I mean, I guess it's not really a fun way of looking at it, but it's
but it makes it easier to accept.
Yeah. I think it's a very interesting and it's definitely a beautiful way of looking at it.
It makes, I don't know, it makes sense to me in this, like that we're meant to experience some shame or regret, but I don't think we're supposed to hold it forever.
No, of course not.
And like how we experience time and memory is a way for our brain to shed those concepts so we can, be better.
Face death with more
dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the closer that you put in here.
What did I put?
The Memory Palace design.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know where I was going with this. I thought it'd be fun. We did castle design last time, but I don't know how to build the Memory Palace. I've tried for so many years, I can't do it right. So I was curious what your thoughts are.
Now, I think I might have mentioned this. If I didn't mention this on the podcast, I think I mentioned it to you. I don't know, maybe not.
I think we did a little bit.
But I think before I said my Memory Palace would be a walk-in cooler.
Yeah,
because that's where I forget everything, and then things are up on different shelves, and I can organize it the way I want to. But then we watched this documentary on the TED. It wasn't a TED Talk. It was a Netflix thing.
Oh, Teddy Talks.
Yeah, no, it was something else. It was the one we watched on memory where this woman was talking about the way her Memory Palace works, but it's a neighborhood. It's like she gets off the subway exit and she's walking through this neighborhood that she walks on like a regular basis. And it's like, I never thought of it to be like, it can be, of course, it can be that big. It's your Memory Palace. And if you want to, have this many memories, then you need to have a large enough space to keep all the shit. And like, so now I'm trying to think of like, where would my Memory Palace be? If it's not just a walk-in cooler, I would almost have to be Murdoch.
The street?
Yeah.
Or
something like that. Or like even like Price, where my first house growing up was.
Can you remember like the houses walking by?
Oh, absolutely. Very vividly in my head. I mean, like
I could never do that, man.
The what I can't remember picture in my head too much is like beyond. So like going west on Price, there's a lot that we just never went that way, like towards the fuck is it, towards Warsaw? No, not Warsaw, towards Elbron.
Yeah.
We just never went that way very often. And there's been a lot of changes in that area as far as like the houses and the buildings go. So like what my memories were don't relate back to that, but like I can very vividly picture at least that area of Price.
See, the thing is I feel like that this is from the Netflix Memory Explained thing. That chick was such an extraordinary subject. I feel like the idea of trying to make my Memory Palace a whole neighborhood or street is so much information.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's completely unnecessary for the kind of dumb dipshit things that I have to try to retain.
For her, it makes sense because she was doing such vast amounts.
She's a smart person.
I feel like as you're saying that, the only thing that popped in my mind is there's no way I could do something so big. And then it kind of got me to like tattoos, like something small. Like I would need something physical. And people always say that, my tattoos represent blah, blah, blah. It's like your life story, whatever. But I do think there could be ways to try to use your body as your own memory system.
That's really smart. I like that.
Tattoos or not, because I feel like something about the physical nature of it, you could... But then it would be weird because you'd have all your negative and positive memories tied to parts of your body. I could see that being toxic in a way. Like a Frankenstein of bad memories, or...
You put that shit on your back so it's behind you.
Dude, I just heard a great quote yesterday from the documentary on Heaven's Gate. There's a new HBO... I've been watching way too many documentaries. Yeah. But there was a really good one. It said... And I'm going to hope I get this right. It said, all the things in my past are buried because they're dead. It was something to that effect. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
The past is gone. But if you could fill your body with happy memories, that could be cool.
Yeah.
This finger's bunnies. This finger is every time I pet a cat. Like they have
every single time.
Campfires for my nose.
just to get a picture of a campfire on your nose, and the nostrils are like logs that lead up to the flame going up the bridge.
Dude, that is hilarious.
Can't trust somebody with that tattoo.
No. Oh my god. Nose tattoos gets weird, that's for sure. So what about, since we kind of suck at memory palaces, what about, would you change or alter any memories or inception yourself in any ways if you could?
If I could inception myself to have bought into some stock, some very specific stocks at a younger age, absolutely. Or open up a very specific, checking account or, IRA when I was younger. Yes, absolutely. That being said, no, most of my memories I wouldn't. I mean, there's always like the really cringy ones that you think of right before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Some of those maybe. For sure, but I can't even think of any right off the top of my head. What about you?
I think if I was as smart of a man as you, I would have thought about inceptioning financial decisions or something to that, something that benefits me in the future, right? Like I kind of thought like, you'd somehow incept myself that drugs are bad. Okay, don't do those things later. But like, I don't think I would. I don't think I would want anything to be different. If I could do something, money stuff would be good. I don't know if I'd want to do anything different, as many mistakes as I've made. But with memories, I honestly feel like a lot of the things poor choices I've made were like trying to forget the present. And I think it as like, even if you get it to work completely, it still like doesn't work in a way. Like even if you could block out those memories, there's something like with the organ or brain transplants, I feel like your body is still going to hold on to it, or there's going to be like a picture or a reminder that there's no way to like completely change.
Yeah.
Or delete. Like, you can't control delete.
There's always going to be something there, yeah.
Something. I feel like there's a lot of Linkin Park songs about this. But I do feel like...
you just described all of Meteora.
I don't think I'd want to, like, actually alter the memory, but I do think if I could change my perceptions of a lot of things...
Oh, yeah.
I think I would. Like perceptions that I later figured out for myself, I wish I knew earlier. Or just different ways to look at those things, which would generally be a more positive or understanding way.
Yeah. I definitely, on that same note, like I feel like there's definitely times when I wished I would have trusted myself more. Trusted my gut instinct. And went with it rather than like, maybe I'm overthinking that or, whatever. And then find out, oh no, I was right all along. I was definitely right all along.
You seem pretty damn confident or good at doing that now though.
Yeah, I'm very much, I stopped doing that to myself because I realized, oh no, I'm right about most things. Well,
Dude, that's the way you gotta be in this fucking weird world.
It really is. Like I'm open to ideas and different ways of thinking for the most part, but my gut instinct tells me that no, that's fucked up. Like I'll try to, I instinctively look at things from as many point of views as possible, but it's usually pretty obvious if something's fucked up or wrong, so.
Kind of to the opposite. I think I am wrong a fucking shit ton, but you still have to like approach the world with a sense of confidence or trust in yourself.
Yeah,
or else you're guaranteed to be wrong all the time.
That's it. You have to have the trust in yourself, the confidence in yourself to do it, and it's not. I think people, especially at least I did when I was younger, was like I confused having confidence in yourself with having good like self-esteem or like personal image of yourself, like even like just from like a physical appearance standpoint, like I confused having good confidence with that. And it was like I feel like media sets that up, especially for young people to feel that way, but like having confidence in yourself is so much more beyond that. Knowing that what you're capable of as a person, that's the thing that you should be confident in. Yeah.
We should all be forced to shave our head at one point during high school.
I was waiting to see where you were going with that.
Have to be ugly for a year, wear robes, be a monk for 1 year of high school.
I mean, for that matter, I understand the whole, uniforms thing to a degree. Like, the idea of it makes some sense. I don't think that it literally translates to working that way, but I think in idea, in theory, I get the concept, but yeah.
Wouldn't it be awesome? It just would be so cool if we know what we knew now.
Oh my God. If you could go back and do it all again, knowing the things, you could speed run it, speed run your life.
That would be so much fun.
80% run.
Get to the boss levels in no time.
Fucking Steven speed run. Oh shit,
man. Is there anything else we need to cover? Or do we want to talk about? I don't even know if we know what we're doing next. Where are we?
Oh yeah.
Who am I?
Where are we? We do know what we're doing next, and I'm going to talk like this until I pull up the upcoming cycle. Oh, 2 cats.
Beautiful. Oh shit! All right, well, we may have to reevaluate because I may need more time because I think that might be a present to you episode.
Okay.
We'll see. I got some good research done already, but that will be fun. We might be able to pull it off next week. Either way, we'll have something super fun. I really like talking about the memory stuff. I feel like it's one of the most romantic and tragic tragic human concepts.
It really is. I mean, and there's a lot that's so still misunderstood about it. There are, things that we just don't completely grasp. And it's because it's such a nebulous thing and it's based on someone's perception of things. So you can't say someone's wrong if their memory is, fucked up. It's just like it's fallible and
I burped.
Nice. I like how you went away from the microphone to do that and still announced that you did it.
I was trying so hard not to.
Our fucking podcast rules.
So, fuck, man. Should we close it up? Do you got any dishonors or advice?
I sure don't.
Who else? Shout outs to Chaotic, Steel, and Commas. Check out Netflix Memory Explained and check out Shining and Cyclone 9.
Well, I do have a dishonorable for this fucking computer fan.
Yeah, hashtag fuck your computer. This one will be fun.
Yeah.
Hashtag fuck iTunes, even though we're back on iTunes.
Yeah, you might have noticed a lapse in episodes a little bit ago, and hopefully we're on there and we're good to go again.
Yeah,
for realsies. But
after I sent them so many harassing emails, I threatened them that our gang of raccoons were coming for Apple's headquarters if they didn't get it the fuck together.
Delete all your apples.
Oh yeah, Tim Apple. Do you remember that?
No.
Trump called the head of Apple Tim Apple. That was so good. Shit. Anything else? Should we do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Thanks again for listening. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human. Make sure to go to the show page at Trashcats Trashcast on Instagram for news and art from the show. You can check out our Reddit at Trashcats X Trashcast.
Yes. If you're super bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZXCX. I should have some new stuff up there soon. We already shouted out the people. Tune in for next week's episode. Drops every Wednesday. And
that's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash. I feel like this was the best shit show ever.
It was absolutely wonderful, and I loved it.